You see, I have this terrible habit. Once I have an idea and I'm like stuck on it, I literally can't help it. Once it's here, once it's in my head, I just can't stop thinking about it. And I'm just staring out the window, thinking about what could be possible. So that's exactly what we did, what I dragged Bonds to do. Hello, Wolfpack. It's been a minute. So good to see you all again. And today I need your help. In today's video, I'm going to show you 3 different commercials that I did for Mythwind. And I want to see your vote for which one you think is your absolute favorite. Because in between work and in between play, I've been playing Mythwind solo a ton. And I really want to get a year's worth of in-game time for each character played out and then do a comprehensive review. So let me know if you want to see that review as well, because I definitely want to dive much deeper into this game and get the city built out and see how all the characters play out and everything. I have been ready with all 5 of the characters, including the expanded horizons, but it's mostly been for work. So every time we've been like playing to understand the game, to know enough to shoot, I have to like reset everything and then do it again like 2 more times. What you see now is my actual playthrough of the game, and I'm so set on diving through all the characters. So if you want to see a review, let me know. With that said, let's go ahead and start off with the BTS breakdown of commercial number 1. So I want to highlight a couple scenes. The very first shot is Fix, and Fix is important because in the game, Fix is your guiding sprite. I knew it from the very beginning, like I wanted this to be my guiding start because it's exactly what you see when you experience the rulebook. This is what I want you to see when you experience this visually. And then we have these sparks flying in because when I imagine sprites, I imagine them being like very magical, very like fairy-like creatures. And then our opener, I always start off with a box shot because when you're doing these commercials, one big question that I had early on when starting these videos is like, what am I seeing? And so when I start off with this like main shot, I always think about, okay, before you even invest any more time in this, know that this is a board game. Here's the opening box. And then we'd have this beautiful natural window lights coming in, backlighting everything. I also added in a little accent light, 2 accent lights actually right behind the box to give a little oomph to that. And then we had a ton of the vines spread out because again, when you see Mythwind and when you imagine Mythwind, you want to see a lot of green, you want to see a lot of forestry. And then as a viewer myself, when I watch trailers on my own too, there's always one question that I am always looking for. And that is, how do you play this game? So that's one way that I'm guiding my commercials, especially now, is I want you to know exactly what to expect when you're watching this and when you are interested in this game. Mythwind, bam, we dive straight into here are the characters that you're choosing. And then here are your actions that you're choosing. And then what was really cool is that in the game, there is actually 3 phases. There is a dawn, daytime, and dusk. And that's exactly the hours that we filmed in the video as well, because you can actually see it going from like warm, cool to cool, cool as we reach like the dusk phase. So you start seeing those blue and purple colors towards the end. You see a lot of very bright orange and yellows in the middle. And then in the beginning, there's a lot of like kind of grayish blue and like yellow tones as we reach the morning. I don't know if I ended up getting some BTS of this, but man, I ended up putting Bonds through the ringer for these hand shots. And I think that was one thing I also realized too, because typically when you see these commercials, they're done in studio and it's just me. But then to have help too that day and to have Bonds being there, super helpful. She was absolutely amazing as always. And I think I was annoyed of me trying to get this shot nailed down because I'm not going to leave. I'm not going to move on until that shot is nailed to the teeth. So nailing focus, nailing the movement, and getting everything centered in frame, making it look cinematic. All those things play an important factor when you see something as simple as move the Mini over to a building site. Like it sounds simple, but when you film it, you will see how technical it really is, especially when you include in all the lighting setups that we did for each and every single frame that you see in this video. A couple of other things I wanted to show too. So weather was a really important part for me because I really wanted to showcase that there is weather mechanics in here. It's very important to the game and it is unique to each character too. So I wanted to set aside some time to really think about how I can show weather. And I wanted an empty slate. At first I wanted just the box shot, but then when I was editing it through and I was showing it, it didn't make any sense. I wanted to show the actual weather cards from the game. So luckily I did get this shot too as a backup, and I ended up redoing this entire scene in order to get the weather cards that we can see actual weather in the game, which are the 3 types. Okay, and then lastly, that ending shot, the total components shot. This was such a fun one to put together, but then we also were very, very limited on time, which I know I give Bonds also a hard time for. I'm always like, oh, we're chilling. We have so much time today. We can just take our time, make sure each shot is nice and good. We'll just take it easy. I never fail to rush at the end, and no one knows that better than my team every time they work with me. So every time I say I'm chilling, reality, I am not. But that ending shot was something that we put together. And then we have all the vines wrapping around the game to have that continuity from the beginning frame all the way to the very end, leaving some empty room up top for a logo or any kind of CTA call to action. And that was commercial number 1. I feel like that's the classic commercial that I always do. And then as we move on to the next 2, things start to get a little bit more different. So let's go ahead and dive into commercial number 2. Okay, now number 2, things start to get drastically different. In the first one, I always try to find this balance in my commercials where I want it to be like punchy, but also interesting and thematic. So I don't want any like crazy epic, super involved music like I would have for Call of Duty, like with hip hop and everything. That wouldn't match Mythwind at all, right? Because Mythwind is a cozy, relaxing game. So then that first song that I use in commercial number 1 has a good balance between that. It starts off kind of peaceful, and then as it transitions towards like the ending clip, that's where I want the punchiness to still come in. And that's why I have a very, very strong orchestra as we dive into like showing the expansions and just having a really good impact on the viewer. So these commercials all serve a different purpose, and I feel like it tailors towards a different audience. So now as we dive into commercial number 2, this is something that you'll see more so for like retail distribution, because this is what you would see as like families turn on the TV or they're scrolling through YouTube. This commercial is geared towards that audience, but even in my other lifestyle commercials, it's still a lot of pop to it. There's a lot of very fast hitting beats, but again, it wouldn't match for Mythwind. That's why I wanted something more calm, more relaxing, and something that I just feel like I'm breathing a fresh breath of air. And that's exactly the vibe I was going for as Josh and I were filming this lifestyle commercial. This set too also worked together with Open House Studios to have this concept where we wanted something very bright and airy with a lot of like white, a lot of greens to use, and even the table too. Like the table was very white. It was rectangular, it wasn't circle. Like all these little details, they matter, right? They matter in terms of how you construct the video together. So it's really fun, like talking about the idea and conceptualizing it and then actually putting it into practice. Like that's the most satisfying part, is when we can see how the plan goes from initial idea and concept all the way to this is what's gonna look like in the final video. Even the plants that you see in the background too, that was all set design. It wasn't naturally there in the house. They had some natural house plants, so we moved a ton of things around. That way, every single 360-degree viewing of the table, we can see a lot of greenery in the background, but it wasn't distracting. We didn't have any like super bright green elements. We didn't have any hot spots with the lights. And our main angle was one where we can see those clear windows on the outside exposed nicely. Also, when you see all the models laughing and everything, like that's them. Either I'm cracking a lame joke, a lame corny joke that's making them laugh, or they're literally playing through the game, just having these genuine fun moments, like all on their own. Before even filming this lifestyle commercial, I sat down with each of my models and explained to them one by one who their character was, what they're doing, and then they're playing through several rounds. I think they played through like 2 years worth of the game before we even started filming. Because again, I always want to make sure that these moments are as genuine and as authentic as possible. And what you see here, that's them playing through. So I hope that came off that way. Little side note, that's such a big thing for me right now is emotion. I really want people to remember my videos, you know? And one way to do that is to highlight the emotion. That's the main thing I love about this song, is that it's heartwarming, makes you smile, makes you kind of just linger on and see these visuals and kind of just be immersed in that world. And that's exactly the mood I was going for as we're filming this game, because everything you see in the colors too, super white, super green, it brings out a lot of feel-good moments. So this last one is something that I kind of just visualized for a long time. This is I don't know what to call this just yet, but what I'm leaning towards is like the mechanic that I wanted to highlight, commercial. So in this case, one big mechanic in Mythwind is this drop in, drop out play where anyone can like pick a character with one of these trays here, and then they can set it up and play right away. And that's exactly how the game works, right? That's why they call it drop in, drop out play, because it's so easy to save your character, move on, and then you can play through this campaign anytime you like. So that's the concept that I went with going into this third video. And I'm just gonna show you and we'll talk about it after.
Okay, we have plenty to develop. Hey!
Hey,
Can a third player join?
of course, you can be the merchant.
Let's go.
We're a community working together. It's so much fun.
It's different, right? It's different from anything that I've ever done before. If you've been watching my past vlogs, you know that I've been talking about I really want to focus on showing and not telling. And that's exactly what I wanted to do with this video. I wanted to just show everything, no text, give you no context, no pretext, and just show you exactly how this game would play out and what you would do if you were to play this game too. I heard a videographer the other day mention something where like, when you're filming weddings, which I do too, like when you're filming weddings, like it's great to get all the cinematic shots, all the artistry that we always are hired for and that we love doing. But at the end of the day, people are going to remember two things. One, they're going to remember the dialogue. They're going to remember the conversations that they had that day. And B, they're going to remember those moments. And it stuck with me ever since I heard that. Like I couldn't stop thinking about that either. And that's what I wanted to showcase and highlight as we're going into this third commercial, number 3, because the whole point of the third commercial is A, to show you that you can play this solo and have people, you know, drop in, drop out. But then I also want you to like see this and remember it. I want this to be a memorable moment that you would have in Mythwind. So you have that kind of alone time to just set up this game and experience it. But then when you're having this conversation with friends, and again, it's completely unscripted, right? What all my models are saying, that's all on their own. Like none of it was planned. It was just happening as time went on. And even then, I felt like those little tiny conversations, those are the memorable moments. And that's what I wanted to really showcase in commercial number 3. Like for me, it's something that you would experience with family. It's something that you would just play solo, and then maybe like parents come in, or like your brother comes in, your sister comes in, and they're like, hey, I want to play too. Like, teach me how to play this game. And that's the very, very heartwarming feeling that I wanted to absolutely express when I'm filming this video. And it made me feel good when I'm editing it. It made me feel good rewatching it. And I hope it makes you feel that same connection when watching through commercial number 3. So with that said, those are our 3 commercials for the day. And that's where I need your help. Go ahead and vote for your favorite commercial in the comments down below. Is it 1, the classic Tim Juan commercial that you have grown to see and experience from this channel? Or is it commercial number 2, the lifestyle commercial, where it's something more relatable, something that you would just see when you're like watching TV, something that you would see like in a store? Or number 3, the new concept. Number 3 is something that is completely different. And I guess for now, I'm just going to call it an experience. It's something that you would connect with. And like I said, I don't have a good name for it just yet. But if you do, I would love to hear your thoughts down below. So based on the commercial with the most votes, I'll go ahead and include that commercial with a review of this game, should I do a review about this. So again, let me know if you want to see a review too, because I really want to dive into each character, spend a lot of time with each one before kind of gathering my thoughts about this and seeing how I feel about this game overall. I mean, the spoiler alert, I absolutely love this game. I wouldn't spend this much time with the game if I didn't love it, aside from it being like commission work. But still, it's a really fun game, and I love this game solo and cooperatively. So that's why I really want to do a review about this. So with that said, I hope you all enjoyed all 3 commercials and all the work that me and our team put in with Bonds, Josh, all of our models. And a huge thank you to Open Owl Studios for A, working with us on this entire project, B, being so patient with me as we took a ungodly amount of time trying to put this all together, and then just believing in this vision overall. It was such a fun experience that I had playing through the game and filming through this too. So really thankful and grateful for the opportunities that Open Owl Studios have given us to work with this game. So with that said, thank you all so much, and I will see you all in the next one.